I want you to imagine something with me. Close your eyes if you want just for a second. Imagine it's December 31st, 2026. You're looking back on this year, not with relief, but with AWE, all because you fought. You rose, you transformed, you owned every challenge that tried to break you. You didn't just survive, you came back stronger than ever. Now open your eyes because that version of you is waiting. I want you to stop for a moment and really think about your past. Every mistake you've made, every failure that kept you awake at night, every time you felt the sting of rejection or loss, it's all there. It's vivid, it's real, it's part of your story, and I want you to hear this very clearly. That story does not define you. It does not limit you. It does not write the next chapter for you. Most people make the mistake of believing that because something happened to them, they are now trapped by it forever. They carry it around like a heavy suitcase filled with labels that say, I'm not good enough, I can't do this, or that's just who I am. But here's the truth, your past is not a sentence. It's a story, and stories can be rewritten. Stories can be transformed. Stories can be turned into fuel for your greatest victories. Imagine someone who's had a year full of setbacks. Maybe they lost a job, went through heartbreak, or faced a series of disappointments that made them question themselves. Most people would say, well, that's just my life. I guess this is who I am. And that's exactly the trap. Because what they fail to understand is that your past is a series of experiences, not a blueprint for your future. Every challenge, every mistake, every low moment, it's data, it's information. It's not your identity. It's raw material. You can take it, learn from it, and use it to build a stronger, more resilient version of yourself. Now, I know it's easy to look back and feel ashamed, to feel guilty, or to feel like you've wasted time. But let me ask you a question. Would you rather look back and say, I wish I hadn't failed? Or would you rather look back and say, I learned, I adapted, I grew, I became unstoppable? The choice is yours. The story is yours, and the beauty of it is that you get to take control. You get to say, yes, these things happened. Yes, I stumbled. Yes, I fell. But that is not who I am. That is not where I end. That is not what defines me. Think about the people you admire. The people who have achieved greatness, the people who seem untouchable in their confidence, in their power, in their influence. Do you know what they all have in common? They didn't let their past mistakes chain them. They didn't let the times they failed or the moments of doubt dictate their story. Instead, they took those experiences and used them as stepping stones. They understood that failure is a lesson, not a life sentence. They realized that the past is a story and stories can be rewritten. And here's something even more powerful. The moment you stop defining yourself by your past is the moment you start reclaiming your power. Because think about it, if you believe your past defines you, then you give all your power to events that have already happened. You're letting yesterday control today. You're letting yesterday dictate tomorrow. But when you step into the truth, the undeniable truth that your past is just a story, you shift everything. Suddenly, you're not a victim. Suddenly, you're not stuck. Suddenly, you are the author, the director, and the lead actor of your own life. And that is freedom, that is power, that is transformation. So what do you do with your past? You honor it, you learn from it, you extract the lessons, you embrace the growth, and then, and this is critical, you let it go. You do not allow it to define your worth. You do not allow it to dictate your dreams. You do not allow it to set the limits of what you can achieve, because your past is not a sentence. It is a story waiting for the next chapter. A story where you are the hero, a story where you rise, where you conquer, where you achieve beyond what you thought possible. And here's the most important thing to understand. Your story only changes when you decide it changes. Nobody else can rewrite it for you. You have to step up. You have to take responsibility. You have to say, I will not be defined by what happened to me. I will be defined by what I do with it. And that decision, that declaration is the spark that ignites everything. That's the moment momentum begins. That's the moment transformation begins. That's the moment your life stops being a replay of old mistakes and starts becoming a masterpiece of your own making. So right now, I want you to commit to this truth. Your past is a story, not a sentence. Your failures are lessons, your setbacks are preparation, your mistakes are fuel. And from this moment on, you are no longer limited by what's behind you. You are propelled by it. You are strengthened by it. You are unstoppable because of it. Rewrite your story. Start today. Start now. I want you to understand something very clearly. Nothing happens until you take decisive action. You can plan all you want. You can dream all you want. You can visualize every outcome in your mind. But until you actually step forward and commit, your potential remains trapped inside of you. Most people waste their lives waiting for the perfect moment, waiting for conditions to align, waiting for clarity that may never come. And the truth is, the perfect moment is a myth. The universe doesn't hand out permission slips. Opportunity favors the bold, the ones who make a decision and move, not the ones who wait for everything to feel safe. Now, let's talk about the difference between thinking and acting. Thinking without action is like holding a car key in your hand but never starting the engine. You may know the destination, you may know the route, but you will never arrive. Action is the fuel. Decisive action is the turbo boost. When you decide, and I mean truly decide, you engage a force inside of you that breaks resistance, overcomes fear, and propels you forward faster than you ever imagined. And it doesn't have to be perfect action. Imperfect action, taken with full commitment, creates momentum. And momentum, my friend, is what transforms dreams into reality. Let me ask you a question. How many times have you hesitated? How many times have you said, "I'll do it tomorrow," or "I'm not ready yet"? That hesitation has cost you more than you can even measure. Every delay chips away at your confidence. Every postponement reinforces fear. Every moment of indecision keeps you stuck in the same patterns. The difference between those who succeed and those who struggle is simple, decisive action. Those who decide, commit, and move forward, even in uncertainty, are the ones who achieve greatness. And here's the most important thing: decisive action doesn't just create results. It transforms your mindset. When you take action, your mind shifts. You move from thinking about possibility to experiencing reality. You discover resources you didn't know you had. You meet people who will elevate your journey. You find solutions where once there were only problems. Action teaches you. Action strengthens you. Action awakens the power that has always been inside of you. But here's the kicker: decisive action requires courage. It requires a willingness to be uncomfortable, a willingness to risk failure, a willingness to step into uncertainty and trust yourself. And I know that can feel scary. Fear will always show up. Doubt will always whisper in your ear. But here's the secret: fear doesn't disappear, it gets conquered. You conquer it by acting anyway. You conquer it by saying, "I don't care if it's hard. I don't care if it's risky. I don't care if I fail. I'm moving forward anyway." That moment of decision, that moment when you choose action over hesitation, is a declaration to the universe. It's a statement that says, "I am committed. I am unstoppable. I am not waiting for permission. I am creating my life." Think about this. Every success you've ever admired, every story that inspires you, every life that seems extraordinary, it was built on decisive action. People didn't sit around waiting for perfect timing. They decided, they acted, and they adapted as they went. And when they failed, they didn't stop. They learned, they adjusted, they acted again. Decisive action is not a one-time event, it's a habit. It's a mindset. It's a way of approaching life that says, "I will not be paralyzed by fear. I will not be trapped by indecision. I will create my destiny through relentless, committed action." So right now, I want you to make a choice. No thinking, no hesitating. Decide what matters most to you and take one action, one bold, committed action today. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. Because the moment you act, the energy shifts. The momentum begins, the universe responds, doors open, opportunities appear, and most importantly, you start to see yourself differently. You start to see yourself as capable, as powerful, as someone who doesn't wait for life to happen, but who makes life happen. Remember, the difference between a life lived in frustration and a life lived in fulfillment is not knowledge. It's not ideas, it's not talent, it's not luck, it's action, decisive, committed, unstoppable action. When you decide, when you commit, when you move, your life transforms. Nothing can stop you once you choose to act. So make that decision now. Step forward, take action, and watch as your world changes in ways you never thought possible. I want you to listen carefully, because what I'm about to say can change everything for you. Most people go through life thinking they are stuck with who they are. They carry labels like I'm not good with money, I'm shy, I'm unlucky, or I'm not that kind of person. They define themselves by their past, by what others have said, by what they've done or failed to do, and the result, they live a life that's smaller than their potential. But here's the truth, who you are is not fixed. Your identity is not a permanent label. You have the power to reinvent it. Not someday, not when the timing feels perfect, but right now. You can step into a new version of yourself, a stronger, bolder, more unstoppable version. Reinventing identity starts with awareness. You have to notice the stories you tell yourself, the excuses, the limiting beliefs, the self-imposed boundaries. These stories are like scripts that have been written for you, some by your past experiences, some by people around you, some by society. And the moment you realize that you have been reading someone else's script instead of writing your own, you take the first step toward freedom. That's the power of awareness. It exposes the truth that your identity is not set in stone. It's a choice, and choices are the ultimate leverage in life. Now, most people think reinventing identity is about doing more, working harder, learning new skills, or changing circumstances. Those things help, but they don't create transformation. True reinvention starts with a shift inside. It's a decision that says, I am no longer the person I used to be. I am stepping into a new identity that aligns with my highest potential. And here's the key, you have to feel it. You have to experience it in your body. You have to act, speak, and think as that person already exists. Because identity is not a concept, it's lived. The moment you begin acting in alignment with your new self, momentum starts. Confidence grows, opportunities appear, your life begins to reflect the person you've decided to become. Think about the people who inspire you the most, the ones you look at and say, wow, that's someone who has truly transformed their life. They didn't wait for circumstances to change. They didn't wait for permission. They didn't wait to become ready. They decided to become someone new, and they took actions that reinforced that decision every single day. They upgraded their habits, their mindset, their relationships, and the stories they told themselves. And over time, those consistent choices transformed them from the inside out. That's the power of identity reinvention. It's not instant, but it is unstoppable once you commit. And here's something most people overlook. Your identity shapes your results. You don't rise to your goals, you fall to the level of your identity. If you want to achieve more, you must become more. If you want a bigger life, you must step into a bigger version of yourself. That doesn't mean pretending to be someone you're not. It means discovering the version of you that has always been possible, but has been hidden under fear, doubt, and old patterns. Reinvention is the process of bringing that version to life and allowing it to drive your actions and decisions. But make no mistake, this requires courage. Reinventing identity is not comfortable. It challenges your beliefs, your habits, and sometimes even the people around you. When you start to change, the old you resists. You feel fear, uncertainty, and doubt. You might even hear the voices of others telling you you're acting different, or that's not who you are. That is normal. That resistance is proof that you are growing. The key is to push through it, to continue acting as the new version of yourself until it becomes your reality. So here's the challenge. Decide right now who you want to be, not what you want to do, not what you want to have, but who you want to be at your core. Decide how you want to show up every day, how you want to think, how you want to speak, how you want to respond to challenges. And then take action, tiny steps at first, if you need to, but take consistent, aligned action. Upgrade your rituals, your environment, your associations. Feed the new identity with every choice you make, and watch as your life transforms in ways you never imagined possible. Remember this: you are not defined by your past. You are not defined by your mistakes. You are defined by the choices you make today and the person you decide to become. Reinvent your identity, step into your power, and live a life that reflects the highest version of you. Once you do that, nothing can stop you. If you want, I can create a full 20-minute Tonny Robbins style script combining all three of these topics: past, decisive action, and identity reinvention, with high energy transitions, calls to action, and live audience style cues so it reads like a full motivational YouTube video. I want you to understand something that most people never get. Motivation is fleeting. Motivation comes and goes. You wake up inspired one day, and the next day you feel flat, tired, doubtful, and uninspired. Most people live their lives chasing motivation, waiting for that spark, waiting for that surge of energy, and when it doesn't show up, they stop, they quit, they settle. And that's why most people never reach their potential. Motivation is like a spark, but momentum is fire, momentum is unstoppable. Momentum is what carries you past the point where motivation fades. Momentum is the force that transforms ordinary effort into extraordinary results. Here's the truth: motivation is great to get started, but it doesn't last. It's a feeling, and feelings are temporary. Momentum, on the other hand, is built. Momentum is the result of consistent action, relentless focus, and small victories stacked on top of each other until they create an unstoppable wave. Think about it: if you wake up every day and take action, no matter how small, you begin to build momentum. That momentum compounds, your confidence grows, your energy grows, your results accelerate, and before you know it, the person you used to be cannot compete with the momentum you've created. That is power. That is leverage. That is life-changing. Now, most people overestimate what motivation can do and underestimate what momentum can do. They wait for inspiration, thinking, when I feel like it, I'll go after my goals. And when the feeling fades, they stop. But the reality is, the moment you commit to action, the energy follows, the movement follows. Action creates momentum. Momentum fuels belief. Belief fuels action. And that creates a cycle that becomes unstoppable. The more momentum you have, the easier it is to keep going. The less momentum you have, the harder it is to start. That's why starting is always the hardest part, because without momentum, you are at the mercy of your feelings. But once momentum is built, it carries you forward even when motivation is gone. Let me give you an example. Think about athletes at the top of their game. They don't rely on motivation to train every day. Motivation comes and goes. Some days they feel amazing, some days they feel drained, but they keep moving, they keep training, they create routines, they create habits, and over time, those habits compound into momentum. Momentum becomes their competitive advantage. It makes them unstoppable. It allows them to achieve results that most people could never imagine. That is how success works in every area of life: business, relationships, health, or personal growth. Momentum beats motivation every single time, and here's the kicker: momentum doesn't just create results, it transforms you. When you are moving forward even a little bit, you are creating energy that changes your mindset, your confidence, and your identity. You start to see yourself differently. You start to trust yourself differently. You start to believe, I can do this. I can handle challenges. I can achieve what I set my mind to. That belief is magnetic. It draws more opportunities, more energy, more support. Momentum doesn't just carry you forward, it accelerates your life in ways you never thought possible. But here's the challenge. Building momentum requires discipline, courage, and commitment. You have to take action even when you don't feel like it. You have to push through resistance, boredom, and discomfort. You have to create systems, habits, and routines that make it impossible to stop. And once you take that first step, no matter how small, you begin a chain reaction. That first action sparks the next, and the next. Suddenly, what felt impossible becomes inevitable. That's the power of momentum over motivation. It turns ordinary choices into extraordinary results, one step at a time. So, right now, I want you to commit to momentum. Stop waiting for motivation. Stop waiting for the feeling. Decide that no matter what, you will move forward every single day. Take one action, then another, then another. Keep building, keep stacking, keep moving, and soon you will see that momentum is unstoppable. Nothing, not fear, not doubt, not setbacks can stop you when you are in motion. Momentum is life's greatest force. Harness it, own it, and watch as it transforms your results, your confidence, your energy, and ultimately your life. 2026 is not just another year. It's your battlefield, your rebirth. Your time to show the world and more importantly yourself that you are bigger than your struggles. So here's the truth. You don't just get a comeback, you command it. You build it, you live it, and you win it. Look in the mirror and ask, if I don't make this comeback now, when will I? The answer is clear now, right here, 2026, your year. Let's go.